feeds Pelosi. Off the wall to Harris. Harris has got Pelosi. Harris to Pelosi. Shot. He scores! Chris Pelosi!
And Poitras trying to drive in on that right wing side. Poitras in. Scores! Matt Poitras in overtime.
Billis took it right off his stick. Sends one through. They score! First career goal for the Bruins draft pick, Donald Billis. Back to the blue line. Cowan has it, looking for the return feed. Cowan lets it go back to the point. Shot!
Eagles were without all of their World Junior guys for that against Simon Fraser. BC played him Sunday. Good pass ahead. There's Yelvik. He scores! Didn't need an exhibition.
Will come up with it. Ross Schwab flips it out to center. Now McKinney gets chased with Harrison. Harrison to the backhand. Score! A deft touch.
Watch out. Nelson steals. Walks in. Scores! 6-2. Jackson Nelson has the hat trick.
Crosby in line. Dolan wins that battle. Now he's going to waltz up.
Welcome in, folks, for another episode of Dom.Hockey, the podcast. I am your host, Chris Nozick, as always, joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Dom Tiano. Dom, how are you today?
Doing great, Chris. How about you?
I'm doing well. I want to remind everyone out there that this show is brought to you by our friends over at Ice Shaker. We still have to figure out how we're going to give away this Bruins Ice Shaker, but check them out. Everything from the stainless steel kitchen grade inside there, no odors or anything like that, and the agitator that twists right off if you don't want to use it. But this thing breaks up your protein powders. Also helps keep the ice. Dom, you ever have a drink and the ice just goes down your throat?
Oh, constantly.
Yeah, this helps that not happen, which is great. So check them out, iceshaker.com. And as you can see, scrolling across the bottom, thank you, Dom. If you like Dom, please give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. You can always watch us on X for now. We'll see where that all goes. But and if you don't like Dom, then don't. But we hope that you do. Dom, you ready to dive into some Bruins prospects here?
Yeah, but first of all, just remind everybody if they missed last night's episode, we had the incomparable Mick Colagio on. Find us on YouTube and go back and take a look at that one.
That one was a lot of fun.
A great show.
It was a lot of fun. It was great to have him on. So definitely check that out if you missed it. Our chat is already up and rearing. Before we dive into the prospects, we got Kevin, who's hungry. Scott says he should get a pizza, which sounds really good. Something about gossip on a Ducks deal, which I don't know, looks like it's probably just an inside joke or something here. Craig.
No, it's not, because we mentioned it on the show last week. So we might as well address it now because people are going to ask. Yes, I had said that Mr. Don Sweeney and Mr. Pat Verbeek had shared a couple of conversations last week. I know people are going to want details. I usually don't go into details until there's some solid information, which I do not have. It's not groundbreaking news because I'm pretty sure Don Sweeney is having conversations with 31 other GMs.
I would hope so. And I'm sure he is, based off of the tournament that's coming up and all that stuff. So I'm not going to get overly excited about a phone call between two general managers when they have a group chat that's on text message.
Yeah.
So let's see.
When there is news to share, I will share it.
Absolutely. And then we got Craig Eagles jumping in the show. Our friend Mike Sullivan.
Love you,
Sully,
Craig.
thanks for jumping in. Happy Bean Pot to everyone as well. Yes. That is currently going on with a couple B's prospects. The game to watch is after our show. BC is playing.
Yes.
So check out those guys.
I was watching this one and turned it off for the show. So if anybody's watching and they show a glimpse of Don Sweeney and Evan Gold and Adam McQuaid, just let us know if Zdeno Chara is there as
Yeah,
well.
I'd be interested to see if he was there too. So as Kevin says, it isn't a Bruins season without checking in on the Ducks. The Ducks are actually starting to turn a corner. So hopefully it's a long-term thing for them, but they're starting to do all right.
You know what the funny thing about that is, Kevin? Don Sweeney has made more trades with, are you ready for this? The Ottawa Senators than any other team.
Interesting.
But we don't trade within the division.
Yeah, I mean, why would you ever want to do that? You've only gotten Mark Kostelik recently out of it. You've only gotten Tuukka Rask out of it. And
Yeah, they got Mike Riley
to
out
name
of
a
it.
few. So, anyways,
Yeah.
we've got a busy night to go over some prospects here.
Yeah, let's start with Michael DiPietro.
Yes.
Because I see a lot of Bruins fans just begging for the Bruins to call him up. So he was in the All-Star Skills competition last night. Was amazing in the 3-on-0 and then stopped every shooter in the breakaway relay. I believe it was.
Yeah.
And we have highlights, right, Chris?
Yeah.
Why don't the 3-on-0?
I'm going to pull the 3-on-0 up right now here for us. It's a nice little exercise that they do during the All-Star competition here. Whoop. But when you think about it, 3-on-0 with the goaltender, nice little blocker save right there.
I think he got part of it and then it hit the post.
And it looks like the same group of three gets 3 chances here. Are they going to be doing this at the NHL level for the skills competition?
I don't know if they who knows.
Oh wait, no, they're not doing that. They're doing the 4 nations.
Oh yeah. So here's the thing about Mikey DiPietro.
I'm going to let it play while we talk.
And I've watched him, I don't know, for years now, way back to his Windsor Spitfire days. One of the most athletic goaltenders you'll ever see. And I mean, watching these highlights, you can see just how athletic he is. He will do anything to get in front of a puck and a shot. Question with him has always been his size. Is he capable of being another UC Saros? I don't think so. I really don't. And I know people are clamoring for him to get a call up and get a shot at the NHL level. I would like to see it too, but I don't think it's going to happen until way later in the season. And the Bruins have to either be right out of it or solidify a playoff spot, one or the other. I just don't think that they would risk it right now. He's 25 years old. This is when goaltenders should be hitting their stride and their peak. This is him on the breakaway relay.
Yeah, I figured I'd let the highlight go while we're talking.
Yeah, nothing got past him. This one's stupid. What he was trying to do there, I don't know.
I'm with you.
You remember this one's a nice
glove save.
And the next one's even nicer.
I'm with you. I'd love to see him get an NHL start. I mean, he will get NHL starts. Whether it's with Boston or not is another question.
Yeah.
It's like you said, is he going to be able to find a level like a UC Saros and stick and lock down a long-term contract and whatnot? Or is he going to be a bubble guy like an Alex Lyon type? He's more in the ilk of an Alex Lyon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Again, the athleticism is there. Other things are going to have to follow. I mean, obviously, when you see a one-on-one opportunity like this, it's a lot easier to follow the puck. But in the 3-on-0 drill, he seemed to be following it. But again, the guys are going half speed. It's an all-star event. So, like, you can't really put a lot of stock in this.
He has clearly surpassed Brandon Bussey.
That's, I think, what a lot of people are unexpecting. And obviously he's your number 3. If something happens to Swayman and you need to go to Korpisalo, or something goes to Korpisalo and you need to bring someone up, he's the guy you're calling up.
Well, he was called up. Let's not forget the one game that Swayman was injured. So,
and we've talked about it.
Yeah.
You know, in the off season, come the draft, you know, if you can offload Korpisalo for a decent return, maybe you look to explore that. If you feel like you can bring back DiPietro on a fairly decent term and dollar amount, but I don't know if this is the year to do it. Maybe you just let him go somewhere else. I mean, you have Korpisalo locked up, but you got to like what you're seeing from him. The fact that he made the All-Star game is a huge effort for him too, especially given what Vancouver put him through by not having him play for an entire season.
Yeah, and let's not forget what Mick said last night. And Mick isn't in tune with the Bruins brass. So if Mick says it, then you know it's true. And they really like Brandon Bussey. Despite the down year, they really love Brandon Bussey.
Yeah, I know they like him, and his profile is a little bit better, I would say. But I also don't mind the fact that they brought in someone like DiPietro to push Brandon Bussey either, because that's what he's there to do. That's what he's been doing. So
yeah, he's pushed him and surpassed
anyways.
him. So let's move on to the other kids. It was a bad week for Bruins prospects.
I feel like that's been a theme for a little while here.
A bad week. Last week wasn't so bad, but we'll start with Casper Nason with Miami. Absolutely trounced on Friday night, 7-1 by Arizona State. They had a rematch on Saturday, lost again, 4-1 this time. Just zeros across the board for Nason. At this point, I don't know what to say about him. It's just a really, really bad situation. I think they've lost now 18 in a row. You know, we don't know if other schools came calling or not.
Yeah.
Just a bad situation for him to be in. Excuse me. Maybe, you know, at the end of the year, he enters the transfer portal and goes to a different school closer to home, or Boston, I should say, not home. You know, that way Adam McQuaid will find it easier to stay in touch with him.
Yeah, he seems like the kind of player that moving him a little closer to the organization will help him out. Craig is here saying he just needs more time down there. And maybe that's what it is, but you know, if you can get him a little closer to home, like you said, Boston, not quite home, but for the sake of his pro team, it is. You know, I'm not going to write him off right now, but let's see where he comes in at camp at too. His next camp.
Yeah, because he had such a hot start to the season, and Miami wasn't really that bad, you know, the first half dozen games or so. But, you know, when you lose 18 in a row, as a player,
it's deflating.
It's deflating. And then you start going through the motions, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's his first year in college, so there's only so much you can take away from that. And again, a 7th round pick. So if he flames out, it was a 7th rounder.
Yeah, bring Craig on if you can.
I will more than happy to do so. Let me see if he's available here. Craig, let us know if you're available, and we're more than happy to have you on. While we wait for a response from Craig, why don't we dive into UMass's Dan Zloch-Mellis?
Yeah, who's playing right now, right?
He's not in the bean pot.
No. What am I thinking? Yeah, so they defeated Merrimack on Friday, 4-2. He didn't register a point, one shot on net, 4 for 9 on the dot, 20 minutes and 11 seconds time on ice. Like he's logging a lot of ice, centering the second line for UMass. So you got to be happy with the ice time he's getting. Let me just get his stats here for the season. 5 goals, 19 assists, 24 points in 27 games. The big thing is that he is a plus 10. Like I rave about his defensive game, his all-around game. This is a guy who's spent a lot of time the last few years playing against older competition. Fourth round pick in 2022. He just turned 20 last month. Has already 70 games of international experience.
Yeah,
Has represented Latvia at the World Championships and will likely do so again in May. So Sunday they went up against Jeremy Swayman's old team, Maine Black Bears, and 3-2 for Maine. Again, he was pointless. Get this, because the one thing we've talked about over and over on this show is how much of a playmaker he is, and that he has a good shot, and we would like him to be a little more selfish.
Yep.
Game high 6 shots
Good
on
for
net.
him. Good for him. We needed a couple of those games for him.
Yeah. Moving on to the BC boys, which you'll get to see in about, what is it, an hour and a half?
Yeah, I want to say puck drop was scheduled for 8, but you know how those things always go. It'll be probably 8:05, 8:10.
So BC improved to 19-4-1 in the season, blanking UMass Lowell 4-0. So Gassot's Ryan Leonard. Everybody loves Ryan Leonard. Everybody's talking about how can the Bruins possibly get this guy. Had a hat trick. Gassot set him up for his second goal, and then Yelvik set him up for his third goal of the game. So
As I say, I got both of those highlights.
Do you?
Gassot,
Well, why don't you set them?
which one do you want to watch first, Gassot or Yelvik?
Do Gassot. We'll do them in order because his was the first goal.
All right, let's bring this up here. And actually, Dom, I want to give you a little shout out. You found a way to throw a little bit of an arrow on there so people know who to look for here. So shout out to you for doing that.
Yeah, was just out of the face off there.
Yep. Goes around, swings it back. And a nice little goal there. Of course, it helps playing on a line with a guy like Ryan Leonard, but
yeah.
Definitely a combination and a name that you'll hear a lot if you watch that game tonight at 8. So, but no, solid, like you said, right out of the face-off. Just the awareness to know where to be. A solid assist.
Yeah, and you said you had the Yelvik one too?
Yes, I'm
or the assist?
Pulling that one up here.
Unfortunately, I can't remember the goal. I watch way too much hockey.
It's all right. As you can see,
and girls.
We've got Oscar Yelvik pointed out here against the boards. This one starts in their own zone. Nice little breakout pass off the wall.
And then Leonard does all the rest from there.
Yeah, but imagine if
Like
making that pass to a guy like Pasternak. Someone else who has that type of elite NHL ability. The fact that you have someone that can play next to a guy like that and see that opportunity well in advance is always a good thing. So
Yeah, so Dean Letourneau, and it's something we've stressed on this show, like the Bruins had given Letourneau and BC their blessing to skip a year of USHL and go straight to college. And as I mentioned earlier, Mick is very well in tune with the Bruins and the brass with Boston. Confirmed last night on the show that absolutely the Bruins gave their blessing. Yeah, we saw an uptick in his ice time on what day was that? Friday they played. So he's over 11 minutes. And as Mick said, he got put into crucial situations later in the game. So, like, they're easing him in very, very well. But the main thing is the coaches rave about his work ethic, his willingness to ask questions and absorb things like a sponge.
absolutely.
Again, we've said it a million times, not concerned about statistics this year.
It was Kevin's wish. We've got Craig Eagles. Thank you for jumping on, Craig.
I've been sponsored lately by Halls, so I did
just
the
don't
Eastlink
breathe
broadcast.
on me.
Yeah, right. Don't breathe on the cameras.
I'll tell you. Anyway, I did the Eastlink broadcast with Cape Breton and Moncton Saturday, and yeah, had a few beverages after, and everything was good. And then last night, I'm running on adrenaline, boys. 4 hours sleep, taught all day. So it is what it is. Sponsored by Halls.
There we go.
Yeah, so
trust me, I think we've all
I'm
been
glad
there before,
because
but
the broadcast you did was Loke's game, right? Moncton's?
Yes.
On Saturday?
Yes, it was. It was.
Okay. So we're coming up to Loke in a bit because I want to compare your thoughts to my thoughts on that game. Because you had messaged me and I said, I'm going to watch it in the morning, so don't say anything to me, right? So
Yeah.
we'll get to him soon. Where are we going from here, Chris?
let's see. So that was BC.
Jake
I know
Schmaltz,
next.
North Dakota.
Next on my list is Schmaltzy.
So interestingly enough, 2 games on the weekend against St. Cloud State. So Friday night, yeah, maybe Craig can explain this to me. Officially, it was a 3-3 tie. And they go to the shootout, but it doesn't count. Why do they do that, Craig?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
The only thing I can come up with is practice.
And
Yeah,
well, maybe a showcase of individual, I don't know, but it's just like let's base everything. My comment earlier was about DiPietro. Keep him down there on the farm for a little bit longer. Give him some more reps. Give him some more time. And we shouldn't be basing. The hockey community, shouldn't be basing his performance. Was he great? Did he make great saves? Yes. It's a great showcase. Has he been on a great journey? Has he proven himself? Yes, all those things. He's checked off all the boxes. Just give him some more time. Okay, you can't rush the process. You got to trust the process there. So to get back to your question, Dom, I I really have no idea. Coming out of the lockout in preseason games, they would do that, try to, garner some more attention and, skills competition before in the preseason. Can you imagine, your starting netminder gets a preseason game, and then, and a lot of teams elected to pull their starters and put their backup in for the shootout. Can you imagine if your starting goaltender goes down in preseason trying to stop a breakaway that has no bearing? So I'm not sure. I'm not a big fan of let's have a shootout, and not to determine anything, but just for the sake of having a shootout. Not a big fan of that. Anyway, that's my take.
I just don't understand it.
No.
So interestingly enough, about Schmaltz, moved up in the lineup because he's usually centering the fourth or third line to second line left wing. So they moved him to the wing, but he was still taking some of the draws, not all of the draws. So Friday night, 3-3 tie, he went 5 for 12, 2 shots on net, didn't register a point, and almost 19 minutes in time on ice. Saturday, they won 6-2. Again, playing left wing on the second line, and 6 for 15 on the dot. He's just terrible on the dot. Usually he is very, very good on the dot. But his ice time dropped to 15:50, which is one of his lowest. Again, I'm very conflicted with Schmaltz. Put up offensive numbers in the USHL, then his first year at North Dakota, and has basically gone downhill offensively since then. I still don't think he gets offered a contract by the Bruins when the season is over.
I'm not a big fan, Dom and Chris, about moving, a center. If he's going to play through the middle, he plays through the middle. You don't keep moving him back and forth. Now, again, I'm not the coach down there or anything like that, but it's hard when you're not consistently. Now, 15 draws, okay, you have a little bit of flow for the game. So they've done the same thing here in Moncton with moving Desnoyers over to the wing. Well, that frees up a little bit more, less matchup time for him. And Julius Sump is playing through the middle now. That's all well and good, but it's hard for a player to jump back and forth and back and forth. And if you're not necessarily going against the same matchup every time, right? Yeah. So you get the flow going, right?
Yeah.
Let's say it's Bergeron against Taves or something like that. The tendencies that your counterpart's going to try. So you can read that. You can go for the draw or the winger win, all those things. In this case, if it's just come and going, that's hard to get a good flow, and it's hard to get a good read on the guy that's across from you on the dot.
Do we know if there was an injury that played a part in him moving up in the lineup, Dom?
I'm trying to remember.
Because I said,
I watched way too much hockey.
That would be a reason why I could think of them doing it. Obviously, like you said, though, overall, there's been a giant dip in his production over the course of his 4 years in the NCAA. So I'm with you. I'm not sure he gets he screams PTO, honestly.
Yeah, even an ATO.
Or an ATO, yeah.
It maybe someone offers him an AHL contract to see what he can do, but I don't know.
Camp invite maybe.
A defensive forward at this point, they're a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
I was talking to a longtime coach and scout just last night, and he keyed in on something that, He said now more than ever, NHL teams are looking for that one area, that one, if they can skate or if they can have offensive ability. It's hard to be and this goes against everything that I believe in from a scouting perspective, especially just keen on one-dimensional talent. I don't think that's enough, but okay, a lot of NHL teams are doing that where they zero in. Okay, well, this guy can skate, so we'll develop the rest of them, right? Or that's all in the coaching. I don't know about that. So, and like you just said, Dom, sure, it might be dime a dozen, but there's got to be an element there where kids are stepping up and seizing the moment, and hopefully just developing a two-way game instead of, oh well, my one-dimensional speed is going to get me there where I want to go. I just
Fabian
hope
Lysell.
more. Yeah, I just hope more players develop and have coaches that believe in developing a two-way presence. You know what I mean? It's hard. It was hard for me to listen to that yesterday, but there's a certain he's right. He's right. He's bang on when he said that.
Yeah, and I also want to go ahead, Dom.
Can you hope that you can develop other parts of the player's game? Because unless you see it, it's hard to say that you can get it out of them. I mean, you got to see a glimpse of, okay, let's take Fabian Lysell as an example, because he's the one everybody wants to see. Fantastic skater. And they've tried for 3 years now to get him to develop some sort of defensive responsibility and to better use his teammates, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
I think it depends, to give my thoughts real quick, Dom. I think it depends on the player and what part is missing. When you take a player like Fabian Lysell, you do see some aspects of the game that are at a pro level. His offensive ability, his shot, his, in some cases, his speed and that sort of thing. But the one thing that's missing is that defensive responsibility. Maybe if you can teach him that, then you have a full, well-rounded player. Finding someone that's already well-rounded, well, that's why they're picked in the first round high, because they have, a weakness, but it's there. Someone like Dean Letourneau, like we've seen, he's a powerful skater. He's quick, like we've seen that. The question is can he bring that to the professional level at the same pace that he was able to do it essentially at a high school level? Can he do it along the way? It's working it up along the way as he goes. First round pick.
Okay,
Someone like Ty Gallagher, seventh round pick. I'm going to
stop you, because something you said, I absolutely, totally, 100% disagree with. And you guys are going to jump all over me, and I'm sure the comment section is going to jump all over me. When you said that he's a proven NHL skater and that he's got NHL skating talent and he's got NHL offensive talent, that's false. He's a 25-point player in 36 games in the American Hockey League. Where does that scream NHL offense?
That's why I said pro. I didn't say NHL.
Okay, well, we're talking guys making it. Everybody wants to see Fabian Lysell in the NHL. And to most people, American Hockey League is not pro, even though it is. Okay. But what screams offense about Fabian Lysell in the NHL when he's not a point per game player in the AHL? And I'll tell you what it is because Fabian Lysell is a playmaker more than he is a goal scorer from the wing. Okay? That much I think we can all agree with.
Yeah.
His inability or lack of willingness to utilize his teammates properly or as he should is costing Providence and is costing him offensive production.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's either an inability or it's an unwillingness. The team is trying to figure out which one it is. And an unwillingness won't go away, but an inability can be learned to you can teach and correct an inability more often than you can teach or correct unwillingness.
Well, receptivity, but here's the thing. All through my Quebec Central scouting, path, all the scouts, and I think I have alluded to this before on this show, was, oh, well, it's in the coaching, Craig. That's coaching. It's going to come. Well, you can't disregard and just say, oh, well, that'll fix itself at the next level. You can't say those things because the player might not be receptive. All right.
Let me ask the two of you a question, and I want your honest opinion. Do you guys believe that the problem with Fabian Lysell is A, work ethic, B, unwillingness to play the way he's being asked to play, or C, a hockey IQ problem?
Can I take a little bit from column A, B, and C?
No, it's one or the other. And when I get your answers, I can go back to the comment Craig was making.
I can go off the game where I saw him live, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I know he had a very poor World Junior, that last World Junior.
Yeah.
And I saw him in a pre-tournament, wrote an article on him, interviewed him, great kid. I think where his main struggle would be is the inability, and again, some people might say, oh, Craig, the inability to read and react and know when, all right, to use that individual talent to break players down and the opponent down, to utilize and to get those one-on-one situations and take advantage of those one-on-one situations to, i.e., drive offense or generate offense. And to get back to your point, Dom, if you're not using your team and your line mates effectively, where you can bust into the seams and create and stay in that open ice or those quiet areas, you're not going to drive a whole bunch of offense. Now, I will say he might be caught in between. He might be so focused on, well, I've got to generate, but I also have to play this style of game because this style of game, this two-way game that I'm not necessarily, right? So there might be in between. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses for the young man at all. I think he's very talented. I think he'll hopefully get there if they don't move him. All right, if he does have value, which I think he does. Is it a fresh start that he might need? Is he going to blossom and flourish? Hopefully. But I think he might be in that caught in between phase, if that makes any sense. So is it A, B, or C? I'm not sure, but anyway.
But some of what you're saying alludes to hockey IQ.
Yeah, that was
not knowing when is an IQ issue.
I just didn't want to say it that way.
Okay, but Chris?
Yeah, that's kind of the direction that I'm leaning towards. But I do think some of it might also stem from his attitude that we've heard of in the past about maybe thinking he should be a step above and trying to do more himself because he's not playing with players that he thinks are at his level. And I think some of that has gotten out of his game a little more over the last calendar year, and so I think we're starting to see some of that evolve. But then now we're running into how much of it is pure IQ of the game.
So here's my point. Whether you chose to go back to Craig's comment and what scouts are telling him, or that it's coaching, whether it's IQ or work ethic, you can't coach those. They're uncoachable characteristics of a hockey player.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say on that.
Well, and that was my perspective on things when I would argue with longtime Q scouts saying, "Oh, well, it's the coaching." I said, "Well, how can you tell if it's the coaching when the kid has bad habits in all three zones?"
Yeah, coaching's a two-way street. You have to have a player who's willing to take the coaching as much as you have a coach who can actually convey the message.
And if the kid's not learning anything at the U18 level, and so as a scout, you can determine if it's the coaching, the messaging, or if the player is receptive enough. At the NHL level, that's where you do your interviews. That's where you would drill down and you'd find out, and you meet with the kid multiple times and ask, meet with the equipment manager, the team staff, whatever. And I'll tell you, you don't meet with the coaches. All right. To use a Luongo, okay, or Timmy Thomas, not pumping tires, because that's what the coach is going to do every time. They're going to pump tires. All right.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You gotta dive in, and you gotta ask the right questions at the right time to determine, okay, is this kid receptive? Is this kid coachable? And okay, then you can rely on your scouting perspective and your experience and your knowledge and on that area to say, okay, this kid, his ceiling is going to be here, and we think we project him to get to that point. Right? Like, here's a quick question. I think everyone knows the answer. Who has more pure skill, Lysell or Poitras? Pure skill.
Pure skill? Oh, Fabian Lysell.
Exactly. Yeah. So what's the difference? Well, Dom, you already nailed the head. Right? You hit the nail on the head. It's hockey IQ. That little pass Poitras made. Yep. That little pass where he turned his back, Shield threw it out the same side where he entered, right?
Yeah.
That had shades of Bergeron and Krejci.
Yeah.
Let's not forget the work ethic too, because I can't tell you how many times Poitras names come up, and Dom, the first thing out of your mouth is his work ethic.
Well, he back checks like hell.
Yeah. Two things. There's only two things Poitras has on Fabian Lysell, and probably the two most important things. Because like you said, Lysell beats him hands down in terms of skill. But Matt Poitras has the IQ, and he has the heart.
Yeah. All right. Let's pivot back to our list here. One thing I wanted to point out before we jump back over to it, though, is, we've gone through all these guys up to Jake Schmaltz, and only Dean Letourneau has been picked in the second round or earlier, the top two rounds. So when people want to complain about the drafting that this team does, I mean, we've talked about 3 or 4 7th-round picks, 4th-round picks. We're not cracking second and first-round picks here. This is why they take a while. So with that, I have Beckett Hendrickson next on my list. Dom?
Yeah, quiet weekend. As you know, he missed a game last weekend with an injury. Came back Friday. They had back-to-backs against Wisconsin, won them both. Hendrickson didn't register a point. What scares me is that on Saturday, he only played 8 minutes and 40 seconds in the game. So I'm wondering if he came back too soon from the injury and he was feeling it on Saturday.
Yeah, that could be. I mean,
Like, we don't have a lot of highlights of these guys until we get to Providence this week because they were all very, very quiet.
well, Dom, we are going to have to start showing low lights because we do tell the truth around here.
Yeah.
So when players mess up.
I'll start getting some low lights.
But-
Ty Gallagher, 7th round pick. What year was that, Chris? I forget.
He was the 2021 draft.
Yeah, 2021 7th round pick, is one of Colorado College's nominees for the Hobie Baker Award. This is a 7th round pick. Okay.
Yeah.
Can't tell me that you can't find players later in the in the draft. Anyway, Friday night they dropped to 500 with a 4-1 loss to Michigan State or Western Michigan. Gallagher had his team leading 14th assist on Colorado's only goal. We don't have a highlight of that, do we, Chris? We do.
The assist we do. Yeah, and it's got your lovely arrows that pop up. So
there wasn't much of an assist. He didn't have to do much.
He didn't have to do much, but I do like the fact that you point out how he gets into the zone. I mean, he's the second one into the offensive zone.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. He's the last guy back and the second one in.
Yeah, I'm going to
Can you replay that?
Going. Yep, I'm going to let it go again here. But you see all the players between them. You've got him right there on the blue line, and then 3 guys still in the neutral zone. You know,
and he's right at the net.
Take it back, Chris. Take it back if you can. Watch. There's no hesitation here.
None. It wasn't on his stick for a second.
Exactly. And he's not trying to dipsy-do or use his individual puck skills to look people off or do all this fancy stuff. It's boom. Okay. Now, is that coaching? Is that the player? Is that the system? All this stuff. If I'm seeing that type of play, okay, from a QMJHL defenseman, where they're making the right play, the subtle little pass at the right time, okay, that jumps off the page for me. And again, maybe I'm too old school in my ways, but all right. And then he just heads up ice. And again, look at the quiet area where he is.
I was going to say, I love the fact that he's driving the net. He's providing an additional offensive layer. He notices that he's got 4 guys going towards the puck right here. And so he just kind of pops right into the slot there. If there's a rebound, he's there for it.
Well, and take it back where he enters the offensive zone. All right, if you can.
Up to about
so
here.
Right here, watch. He's going to get to the middle more, but he reads it. Okay, he was going to go further to his left, right? So if that, let's say the defender gets his stick in there and blocks that lane from the puck carrier, okay, maybe there's an initial pass. He's moving, okay, across that line that cuts the center of that invisible line, the middle of the ice. He's drifting towards the left, right? He's going to get there to see that pass come out if they needed that pass. But again, that's just, to me, that's just a smart player. Smart player, great skater, and no hesitation. Knows exactly what he's going to do with the puck before it's on his stick, right? So you talk about processing. That's processing.
Yeah. Well, put your coach's hat on for a minute, Craig, because I'm going to ask you the difficult question. I saw this in Ty Gallagher 2 years ago. And then last year, for whatever reason, Jay Pandolfo at Was it Chris
BU.
BU? Yeah,
Yep.
BU. Decided he's a seventh defenseman. Played like 7, 8. Some nights he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
Transfers to Colorado College, and this is what he is. But we saw these signs 2 years ago. Is it what? Why would Jay Pandolfo do that?
Two things. Well, maybe three. First, maybe you wanted other kids to have more time and more opportunity to vault over him. Two, maybe he believed the player had already reached a ceiling, wasn't buying in. I don't think reached the ceiling because obviously the kid's very, very good. So maybe that's a buy-in issue. And that goes back to the receptivity issue. Maybe
Right.
Jay went to the well one too many times and wasn't going to put up with that. Now, I'm just speculating. I've never
Right.
met the kid,
mean,
never met Pandolfo. So,
As I say, it's kind of what we were asking for, though. So we don't mind.
well, but honestly, that from a coaching perspective. Now, and the third thing, maybe he just didn't like the player within the system that he was trying to instill.
Okay.
So you move him down your depth chart.
Yeah,
If the kid's not buying in, you move him down.
Yeah.
You try to
because-
send a message. Again,
And-
that's just a coaching.
Right. But he goes from like 7 minutes a game last year to he's averaging, I bet you, close to 24 minutes a game.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely being a top pairing. He's
Yeah.
the number one on that team right now.
Oh,
So-
easily.
So, right? Why do some trades work while other trades don't? Okay, some players can skate into opportunity. Some players falter.
Right.
Right? Fresh start, new perspective. Right? Coach pumping the tires, lifting players up instead of putting players down. The more and more I see and observe, right? It's all about communication and how you're messaging
Right.
to players, and especially the player. And we can deny it and we can talk about it and try to navigate and stick handle around it. Kids are different. They're wired differently than they were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. These kids need to know where they stand. They need to understand what they need to work on. All right. And that's what they need. They need a coach that can bring that out. And, all right, they need a coach that can challenge them. Challenge them, but obviously challenge them in a way that reaches each and every one of those players. So as a coach, you have to invest that time and effort to try to get and to be able to communicate to all your players on their level. So you get them on your level with regards to the expectations.
Yeah. All right. What do you guys say we turn over to Quinnipiac and the boys over there, Pelosi and Groenwald?
Yeah, that was quick. And then we'll jump to Ryan Walsh because I think that's a funny one with Cornell. But yeah, they won 5-4 on Friday. Neither one of them registered a point. Pelosi had 3 shots on net, 19:29 time on ice. Gronwald was a +1, 2 shots on goal, 20:14 time on ice. You know, I sound like a broken record when it comes to Gronwald. Today's what, February 3rd? He turns 19 tomorrow. Tomorrow is his birthday. And what he has done as a true freshman, as an 18-year-old, is frankly, in my mind, pretty surprising. He's got 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points in 26 games. Not earth-shattering numbers, but as a true freshman, those are pretty good. What I really like is that he's eating minutes, and sometimes big minutes, and he's more than solid defensively. I think a couple of weeks ago we showed highlights of his defensive game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
So let's jump to Ryan Walsh real quick, because I don't know if Craig has stories like this one, but Cornell on Friday night was shorthanded. 5 regulars out due to suspension, and 1 to an injury, and they played with 9 forwards and 8 defensemen on Friday. I don't know how. Maybe it's because they were playing St. Lawrence, but they lost by just 2-1.
Love it.
2-1 score. I knew as soon as I saw that we knew 3 players were automatically suspended, and then they added 2 more, and I thought, man, Walsh is going to get a shitload of ice time on the weekend. 24 minutes. Yeah. What can I say? And then Saturday, they battled to a 3-3 tie with Clarkson. They were still shorthanded. 25 minutes time on ice. This is a forward. This is not a defenseman.
Well, Dom, I've coached teams where we're really short, okay? And there was one game where we got spanked. And then the other game, we were short, but we had the right players. So those right players were seeing lots of ice. And we played an inspired game and won. Right? So there's the 2 polar opposites there, where you're going to get spanked and or you show up hey, those types of games happen more often than not, especially when suspensions roll in.
Absolutely. Hey, Dom, I know Craig has to get going shortly. Why don't we skip over and come back to Murenberg and Langenbrunner and skip to Loke Johansson? Because I know you had some questions for Craig about Loke Johansson specifically. Yeah. And then we can let Craig get out of here and do what he's got to take care of tonight and hopefully feel a little better on that cough.
Well, hopefully I get some sleep.
That will probably help.
So it was back-to-backs against Cape Breton,
Thursday,
right?
Saturday.
Right. So they won Thursday 6-4, 6-3. I believe it was. Loke was a -3 in that game. And I just happened to find out that he had just over 20 minutes time on ice. Saturday, I felt, and you were there in person, you tell me, that it was one of his better games this season.
Agreed.
He was physical. He was being hard in front of his own net. He transitioned well. I think between watching him Saturday and his first exhibition game, he has really come a long way. Like, I mean, marked improvement from that first exhibition game to where he is now. Am I wrong in saying it was probably one of his better games of the year?
Right? Less is more, Dom. Less is more.
Yeah.
Right? In his case.
I was going to say, especially in his case, right? So my question to you, watching him all the time, are you happy with his development curve so far? And what is the limit for him?
Well, that's a great question. First, I love the developmental aspect of the program that Paul Boudelier and their D coaching staff has implemented. Okay, I love that. All right. I love the fact that he is so much better. And if you have an opportunity to watch this kid, watch what he does with as soon as he receives the puck. Watch how, okay, the eyes are up, okay? So to me, that's pro. It says pro right from the get-go. So his ability to receive, his reception, all right, especially in a regroup situation, the way he recovers is improving. In my opinion, he gets caught out wide. Now, gets caught, Craig. That's not a good thing.
Well, hold on. No, I think when you say that, I think he has trouble with faster skaters at this point, but that's correctable.
It is,
right?
Because when he gets caught out wide, Dom, he's kind of out of position at times, okay, because he needs to play inside the dots. Right. So when he gets a little wide, that's right, especially in transition. So, and back skating, his gap control has much improved. His stick positioning, all right, has much improved. His offensive instinct on the offensive blue line, we've talked about that time and time again. Okay, against Rimouski, it was a bad performance on the offensive blue line. He had at least, I would say, 6 or 7 golden A chances to get pucks through and didn't. So you base on, okay, where was he in Rimouski, the Rimouski game, which was the week before, going on the road to Cape.
Right.
Okay. Then the minus stuff, I don't necessarily look like, is he causing the breakdowns? Might have happened on the other side, might have been, right?
Right.
So in his case, when he plays a simple transitional, hard nose, in your face, 2.5 or 2 zone lockdown game where he's on the inside and in the dots, he's very, very effective. Very effective. You know, his ability to take the puck and go, right? It's there. But within the framework of the team and the team system, there's no need of him to do that.
Right.
But he does have the ability to take it and go. Now, is he going to break down guys? No, he's not going to break down guys. But he'll use the first, if there's 10 feet of open ice, he's going to skate into that open ice and he's going to make a play, right? He's not hot.
He'll take what's given to him. He's not shy. He's not shy.
And that's what I mean when I say that. He'll take the puck and go. And, so it's just about refining those areas of his game that are going to translate, into the pro game. And I think we're seeing, that progression, right? So is he going to be a big offensive guy? No. Can he generate? Yes. We've talked all about that. It's his thought processing. It's his gap control. It's those little things in the details that are going to make him effective at the AHL level and then beyond. Right? Ken, you touched on his skating. Is he explosive enough right now? Is he agile enough right now against a speedy forward? If he's in the right position on the ice, he's effective because he can still get to point A to point B and cut players off. He's not getting beat one-on-one wide anymore. And when he does get beat, or
Right.
when they go indirect and try to go around him, he's found himself, in my opinion, outside those dots.
Okay.
Right? Outside the dot.
And that's where that's where you beat him.
That's where you'd beat him. Like, and again, players always used to say, put it in the feet around Zdeno, right? When one-on-one situations down low, put it in his feet, try to A-frame, try to go around, try to gain a little bit of leverage. How can you gain leverage on 6'9"? You can't, but you can use your speed, right? Try to, maneuverability and stuff like that. He doesn't get beat a whole bunch, okay, below the dots. All right. The only time he gets beat below the dots is if he, is caught and tries to do too much because he cares. Right. Let's say he tries to close in on a forward at the hash marks. Well, you got to, right. You're moving yourself away from quality ice, and good ice when you pursue. All right, based on their system and the system that they play. If he goes, do they have the layers in behind him? So that's a processing, that's a scanning thing. Is his scanning getting better and his processing getting better? I think so.
I think so too. From what I'm seeing.
Playing with Dylan Gill's not hurting him.
No.
Right? It's not hurting him.
No.
I think Dylan Gill's been fantastic. And he's going to play games in the National Hockey League because he's that good. So you got two, right? Dylan's already played 23 games at the American Hockey League level and has performed. And then you've got a signed NHL prospect playing together and getting to know each other, from a personal level and on the ice, developing chemistry. I think it's highly beneficial for both players.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Right. Like Dom, and you've watched him, and Chris, I'm sure you've watched him. He's not going to step up and throw the big hit. He's capable of that, but he's smart enough to know that you don't take yourself out of the play.
Yeah. He's not chasing it.
He's not forcing the issue. When he gets pissed off,
I think maybe through 40 plus games so far this season, you could probably count on one hand the number of times he's gone chasing the hit and putting himself out of position.
In those instances where I've seen him, there's been a questionable hit on a teammate, or guys or the opponents trying to run amok or send a message, and he just gets pissed off and says, "No, you're not going to do that." Right? Like the cross check to the back that time in front of the net, which, hey, right? I got no problem with that. You want to send a message every once in a while, it gives you more space, and it sends a message to the entire league that you're not going to get pushed around.
And it's not something you really expect from a Swedish defenseman.
Well, you would think, they're highly skilled, they're this or that. Hedman's pretty good, though.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And also, to Dom's point, though, not something that you'd expect to see all of that from a 6th round draft pick.
Well, again, when you do your homework, and when you drill down on players and you project, you're going to have success in the later rounds.
Got to win the round, as Dom always says. So
exactly, and they've done that, Dom. They really have. They've drafted well.
Yeah.
Well, we have at least one vote for Craig to not leave. So,
well,
but Dom, what were you saying?
Yeah, it's like you can't win every draft, but what you can try and do is win the rounds. And that's what makes you successful.
Yeah.
Another big test for Lokai coming in, Cape. So This is their third game in a row against Moncton. They're coming in Thursday night. Cape wasn't very good Saturday, didn't engage, didn't get to the middle. So it's another big test for Moncton to see, okay, are they going to push back? Are they going to push back physically? You don't have to worry about Johansson pushing back physically, because that kid
No.
shows up night in, night out from a physical aspect. He's got all the attributes.
CHL rankings come out tomorrow, right?
I think so.
I think Moncton was fourth last week.
You know my opinion. You know my opinion
man.
about those, Dom.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's a toss-up between Moncton and London right now.
It's going to be very interesting to see how teams here in the queue handle the upper echelon teams coming down the stretch, and it's going to be a lot of fun going to games, just like it's a lot of fun joining you gentlemen on the pod. So I really want to thank each and all the comments and stuff. I think that's fantastic. It was a great show last night.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was fantastic. So guys, like I said before, keep doing what you're doing. It's fantastic stuff. It's informative. And there's a lot of validity behind what you guys are putting out there, which in this day and age is rare.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to jump on. I know you're friend of the program, as they say. Welcome anytime. And with you heading out, Kevin is also heading out himself. So
there you go.
I guess he's exiting stage left and you exit stage family.
Yeah, that's right.
So thank you so much, Craig, for jumping on. And
thanks, guys. Good seeing you.
We'll cycle back through to some of the guys that we skipped. So Craig, thank you again, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks,
no
Craig.
problem. Thanks, guys. Take care.
I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
All righty. Thank you, Craig, for jumping on. Dom, what do you say we circle back? I know Mason Langenbrunner won't take too long, and then we got to talk about Jonathan Merenberg.
Yeah. Harvard lost 4-3 on overtime on Friday to Princeton. Langenbrunner was a -1, 3 shots on goal. He's starting to put pucks towards the net. And here we are, 20 minutes, 41 seconds of ice time. He's been pushing that 20-minute mark for a few weeks now after spending, I don't know, first 15 games as a number 7 defenseman, playing 7-8 minutes a night. So he's found his stride. Merenberg, we'll skip through each game, and I'll just say this about Merenberg. He has made a difference to his team since returning. It's not showing up in the win column, but they are letting in fewer goals because this guy blocks shots, solid defensively, and he gets pucks out of their own zone. Unfortunately, they're in a relegation spot. We've talked about it previously. Don't quite know what this means with him becoming a Boston Bruin sooner rather than later, because if they were to lose in the relegation round, they'd move down the league. And I'm sure the Bruins don't want him playing in the Allsvenskan as opposed to the SHL, and would rather see him in Providence. Or they may just say, you know what, we're not going to burn a contract spot.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they did with what's his name there, the center that we liked.
Mattias Mankiewicz.
Yes, thank you. Although I would like to think that because they acquired him via trade, they do have some plans to try to bring him over. So I would like to see him get into Providence and work his way up if they do get relegated. But definitely someone to keep an eye on. I'm sure Boston won't be his only shot at the NHL.
That said, I don't think he turns 20 till April.
Let me see if I can find out
I got to look up his birth date.
Real quick, since we were just talking about Mason Langenbrunner, I do want to just let you know, and anyone who's watching who did happen to turn off the Beanpot game, Mason Langenbrunner had no points, one shot, was a -2 in Harvard's 7-1 loss to BU. So with that final, I just wanted to give you guys that update.
Sorry, he's an 03. So he's 21 now. Still, and has been playing in a men's pro league for 2 years.
Yeah, he'll get another shot. Whether it's with Boston or not, he will get a shot at the NHL.
So who's next? Loki, we did.
Oh, the Dubuque boys.
Yeah. So Christian Kostadinsky scored a goal. Did I send you the highlights?
I'm pulling it up right now.
That one? Oh, yeah. I knew that would make you happy. You love it. But, well, we'll show it.
Look, sometimes you just got to root for the underdog, and he's the kind of player that you just got to root for here. I'm going to let this play out.
Number 4, big number 4. Well, you see the biggest body on the ice right there.
Yeah. Nice little rip, though.
Oh, he can shoot the puck. He can definitely shoot the puck.
The arrow's the size of the player.
It's just that's why I put a big arrow on it. But his skating technique, man, like he's still got a ways to go with his skating.
Yeah. But he's got some power to it. A decent little flick shot, though.
But that shot, man.
I like the celebration.
He can
too.
shoot.
And the fact that he nice little pass there. He took the shot even and just didn't go for the pass there. He took ownership of that, and good for him. I will always be happy.
So
to
anyway,
see him score.
moving along because we're running short on time.
Yeah.
Let's keep moving along, Chris. Cole Spicer goes from first line center to fourth line, gets 2 assists, including on the game winner on Friday that they won 5-4. Do we have either of those?
I'm queuing those up right now. We have the first assist from Friday here. There we go. Anything of note that you want to mention for this one here?
No, that's him on the side wall there. It's just he's a puck hound.
Oh, yeah.
But, even I could have got an assist on that one. There wasn't much to it. Put the second one up real quick.
Yep. This is another one where he's right along the boards here.
He loves it there.
Let's see. Hey, that's another plus point.
Can you play it
another
again?
Plus point for Konstadinsky here.
Yeah.
Let me slow it down a little bit so those watching can track him a little easier as he comes down the middle. A nice little cycle through. Gets to the front, right in the slot area there. Takes his own little hack at it.
But again, even I could have got an assist on that. Unfortunately, nothing for Jonathan Morello. Saturday night, they got blown out 6-1 by Lincoln. And Spicer had the only goal of the game.
That's the one that I was
and
just.
I believe you
That's
have
the one that I was just playing. I went out of order on that one. That one's my fault. That was the goal.
Okay.
I just went to queue up.
Let's move on to Providence College real quick because we still got Providence today.
Oh yeah.
So Phillips fed back. We'll get to it. Saturday he didn't play because it was an afternoon game and he had played the night before. Awesome game by Sveti. Had an assist and stopped a penalty shot, and we have both of them.
We do. And that one I was a little quicker on.
What's first? The assist?
Yeah. So he plays it from behind his own net.
I love this because, yeah, he gives no indication of what he's doing with that puck. Now, mind you, that's a goal scorer's goal, but
you're talking about here where he stops it,
like
looks
no
like he's going to go forward with it and then backhands it.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, lucky sequence for him to get credited with the assist, but I mean, he started that breakout play, so good for him.
Yeah.
Let me
So you got the penalty shot.
I'm gonna pull that one up, switch over to that one. Sometimes half the battle in pulling these up is finding the cursor on my computer. Dealing with the two windows here. But nice little penalty shot coming in. Nice tracking on that.
Yeah, he wasn't falling for anything.
And that he took that out wide too. So, but that was
so he stopped
good.
39 of 42 shots and then 6 of 8 in the shootout. He went to a shootout, 8 rounds. So he had plenty of breakaways to stop in that game.
Oh wow.
So Friday night, Providence went in Saturday against Cleveland. Friday they won 4-2. Patrick Brown opened the scoring from Riley Tufte. I believe we have that one.
We do. Getting it switched over. There we go. And this one comes in. Oh, look at that. A nice little tip in on the empty net. Greasy little goal, though.
Yeah.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah. So Cleveland would tie. Who scored?
Tufte?
Tufte would then score his own goal.
Which I have right here.
From John Pieracci. So circles there, goes down the middle of the ice, and just rips a shot home.
Good for him.
One thing about Tufte is he finds open ice. He really does. Not the greatest skater, but he gets then Cleveland would tie it up again. Yeah. Cleveland would tie it up again, and then Ian Mitchell would score the winner from Brown and Georgi Merkulov. Do we have that?
I have
from Mitchell.
Yes, I have the Mitchell goal. Give me 1 second here. Get this pulled up. So you see him coming in from the point.
Takes a back and forth, and he just wired it.
That's a nice rip right there. And that's an important goal, too, because they were...
Yeah. Mitchell can rip the puck.
Oh, yeah. What do you think the plans are going to be for him going forward, given the lack of defensive
knows?
depth that they have?
Who knows? He was a Jim Montgomery boy, so it's hard to say.
Gotcha.
Brown would seal it with the empty netter from Pitlick. And DiPietro, 27-29 for the win once again.
Before All-Star
You know,
weekend.
You can't argue with his numbers. 199 goals against average and 932 save percentage.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So on Saturday, good old Joey Abate scores for Providence just 50 seconds into the game. Do you have that? You
Got
do.
it right here. As your arrow's pointing, he's at the very bottom of the screen here. That's the Konstantinsky of arrows. Nice little net drive right there. That's a solid net drive.
Yeah.
We'll play that back.
That was just 50 seconds into the game, too.
It's a nice little way to start a game off.
Yeah. So your friend Max Jones would make it 2-0. Yes. I'm calling him your friend.
Okay. I've got that one right here as well. Coming along the boards.
Why does everything start? Everything starts along the wall.
Yeah, well, it's where you make plays, right?
That shouldn't go in from there, though. I don't think it should.
Yeah, that's a point that I want to bring up, but I'll let you finish about the game real quick here.
That's it. For Providence scoring, Cleveland comes back, wins it 3-2. Bussy's turn. Stopped 30 of 33 shots. His numbers. So you remember DiPietro's 199 goals against average. Bussy's at 297. A goal a game
Almost an
difference.
entire goal more. Wow.
Save percentage 898 to DiPietro's 932.
And that bench rate number. I love that bench rate number next to Michael DiPietro.
Over $1 million.
Not by much, but I'll take it. He's showing an NHL caliber.
Yes.
That being said, is it going to translate over? Remains to be seen. I'm with you. I want to see him get the call up. There was something, though, that you said about Max Jones's goal that I want to have a little discussion with you about. Because your comment was, that's not a goal that should go in, and it doesn't go in against an NHL goaltender. And we've said that type of thing about a few goals before. Now, I want to highlight that around Georgi Merkulov, because there's a lot of people questioning why isn't he up with the big club. He's got 39 points in 40 games, 11 goals. I mean, he's really helping in the offense, but and I'm not saying we have to have the number. We can go back and figure it out later, but in the goals that we've seen from Merkulov or some of the assists that he's been involved with, how many of those do you think we're going to look back on and go, that one doesn't go in the NHL?
Oh, since we started showing highlights, just about every one of his goals, we could say that doesn't beat an NHL goaltender. In some of them, we even said that doesn't beat a quality AHL goaltender.
Right. So I'm not going to sit here and try and discredit 39 points over 40 games, because those are real numbers. That is factual data. He has done that.
But a wrist shot from the blue line with nobody in front of the net doesn't beat an NHL goaltender.
Right.
And we showed a highlight of that like 2 weeks ago.
Right. So my question is how much of that do you think is playing in why he's not up at the big club when someone like Vinny Lettieri gets called up or Matthew Poitras gets called up? Because even though the points are there, they're AHL points, but you're not going to necessarily get that production from him. And if you don't have the other aspects of his game, he's not going to outscore his mistakes.
No, and I like Mick said last night when we talked about Merkulov, like Mick's biggest concern was his skating, if I'm remembering correctly.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and his board battles, I think, was the other thing that worried him about Merkulov. I don't know. Like, I'm still, when Georgian Merkulov was at his best in the American Hockey League is when he was playing left wing with Matt Poitras. You notice they didn't put Lysell with Poitras. They put Merkulov with Poitras, and they moved Merkulov to the wing. Mm-hmm. Because and my guess is that they don't think that Merkulov is a center at the NHL level.
Yeah.
They think he's a winger at the NHL level. My concern with that is I, like Mick last night, if he's a winger, I don't think he has the skating ability to be a successful winger at the NHL level. Does that make any sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, call him up anyway, see what he can do. But I mean, this is what you're looking for. This is why you're not calling him up.
Yeah. I think if I had more time, I would make lowlights, like you said, and show some of the things that are because nobody does that. Let's face it. If I start posting lowlights of Fabian Lysell on Twitter or X and doing it with Georgian Merkulov, that doesn't get me followers. I don't care. I very rarely
post. And it gets you called a hater.
I very rarely post highlights on Twitter anyway. I do it here. Post highlights on and do it on a regular basis, you double your followers within months.
Yeah.
Like people just flock for them. But you're only showing the good stuff. And I think that's unfair to do that to fans. I really do. If you're going to show the positive, show the negative.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reason he's not being called up, and highlights aren't going to show that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people can't afford to spend the money to watch this, that, and the other thing. Like, I mean, I probably spend a mortgage payment on hockey fees to watch hockey in a month. But it would be totally unfair for me to post all the good on Twitter for everybody to see and not mention the bad.
Yeah, and if people do want to save on some of that, though, there is our friends over at Flow Hockey. I want to give them a shout out for the videos that we use. Definitely check them out. It is definitely a much more affordable way to watch additional hockey than just what's on, your ESPN or local regional network and some of these other lower levels. So, catch the Providence down there, some of the guys down in Maine. I know we haven't talked a lot about them, but a lot of those guys aren't really under contract to come up to the NHL. So, we're trying to focus on the ones that are on that path.
Bruins property. Nobody in Maine is Bruins property.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bischel's
Nobody.
the closest one, but he's on an AHL contract, so
Right.
there's not much value in us giving you some of that information at this time. But anything that does provide value from them, we will pass along. But when you have 90 minutes, you gotta cut out some of the stuff that's less important. So, with that though, Dom, I'm just realizing that we're a little past the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, good show. Nice to have Craig jump on and
Absolutely.
Talk some prospects. And
You have it.
with things going as shitty as they are for the big club, it's always nice to talk some different hockey,
Yeah.
and that would be prospects.
Yeah, and there's definitely a lot of young promise down, especially in the AHL. And then obviously down in the NCAA. I mean, they've got 3 Hobie Baker finalists?
Yeah, two.
Two. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking
Svedback,
3.
and Svedback's also up for the
Richter.
Award for top goaltender. So,
but the Bruins don't have any prospects, right? None of them are any good. They have 2 Hobie Baker nominees, and but
people are asking me, Chris, to do a rankings and go over it on the show here. I will do it like I do every year, but it won't be till the season's done. To me, I don't believe in mid-season rankings. I don't believe in preseason rankings. There's one ranking, the end of the season. That tells you what that player's done from that year to the end of the next year.
Yeah.
What happens in between is irrelevant because it's a progress.
Yeah, and someone like Dean Letourneau, for instance, there were a lot of people. I mentioned this yesterday. Dean Letourneau 6 months ago was the best prospect in the entire system according to some rankings, and now he's the biggest bust. So it's a fluid thing, and if you go purely off his numbers, there's a case to be made, but it's not about just the numbers. And I don't think I'd have him number 1, but I also don't think I'd have him towards the bottom either. So I get what you're saying.
He definitely won't be my number 1.
Yeah.
Definitely will not be number 1.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
On potential alone, he's probably number 1, but he's not there.
No, but he, like you said, when it comes to rankings, you do a ranking at the end of this season, and then he goes back to BC, plays again. You do another ranking and see if he makes his way up. Scott says, thank you guys. Craig was great too. Svedback seems like he was a great pick, contrary to popular opinion. I really appreciate how the Bruins draft. So I do think the drafting gets underrated. I know you talk about all the time that mantra, just win the round. And in some cases it takes 3-4 years to figure out who actually won the round. So we'll continue to monitor for everybody. That's what we're here for, to make sense of it. So with that, Dom, do you have any other questions, thoughts, anything else to round out the show here?
Can I do something political?
Go ahead.
Even though I stay away from politics on these things. So today I work for a Japanese firm. We were all told when we went into work today that we're all likely going to be out of a job by the end of the week, thanks to the trade war between Canada and the United States. Because the Japanese just don't mess around. They don't. I don't feel for me because I can retire and collect a pension because I'm that old. But I feel for the girl next to me who just turned 26 and her husband and her just bought a new house and moved in on the weekend. And, that was scary. Then we find out tonight that our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, Pierre's his dad. Oh my God. Finally had a conversation with your president, Donald Trump, where Trump refused to take his phone calls for the last couple of weeks and decided that they were going to pause these tariffs for 30 days until things got worked out. At least they're on the table, or they're at the table. They're talking. And I hope, for the sake of Canadians and Americans, because this affects everybody, not just Canadians, not just Americans, not just Mexicans. It affects
Everybody.
people from all three nations, and in a severe way. That I hope that they get this figured out. And, I was with a few hundred people today that were all stressing out about what they were going to do. So fingers crossed. Let's all stay positive, and let's hope that they figure this shit out.
I would just say, Dom, I think that was very well said. I know, like you said, politically, we don't try to dive into that stuff around here just because, I view sports, for me, has always been a safe haven, if you will, from everything else going on in life, whether it was playing it, whether it's watching it, whatever it is. And sometimes life doesn't let you do that. So, you're watching a game, you're working on something, that kind of thing. But that's the kind of space that we really want to try and have here. So we want to be that space where, it's going to be, hockey focused, but every once in a while, to your point, something major happens and we have to address it in the best way we feel we can. So Dom, I want to say the sentiment is there. Hopefully everybody feels a little togetherness, and things might get tough for some people out there, and whatever we can do, that little solace of taking your mind off of it, whether it's Bruins, hockey, and in general, anything like that, DMs are always open for that as well. So that's what, we want to be that solace for you guys too. So with that though, my last thought is go Bees, go Prospects.
Go Bees, go Prospects.